All right, Shalom. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakwakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace, blessings, salutations to the full elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and listening on to this truth. All right, with all sincerity. I mean, the blessed election be upon your houses. All right, the title and topic of this lesson is going to be, all right, identifying red flags. All right, identifying red flags, when it comes down to these different Israelite groups out here. Shit, even when it comes down to, these plantation, Christianity churches, man. All right, there's a lot of, red flags or tell signs to show you that these individuals, right, or these, groups or people, whatever the case may be, don't got the truth, man. All right. But I want to start in this real quick. This is First John, the 4th chapter, starting at the top, and it reads, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are gone out into the world, right? So we gotta, try the spirit. We can't believe, ultimately everything that's coming out of the mouth of these false prophets, man, right? You got people out here pushing all types of wayward doctrine that's teaching things like everybody could be saved. All right, teaching things as if there is no Jacob's trouble, right? Teaching the false doctrine on what the MOTB is, man. Right? These are quick, telltales, right? Quick red flags to identify that, hey, these individuals don't got it, man. All right. And a lot of the times, right, they got, these different groups got 501c3s, right? They all in it for a bag, right? They all in it for, the wrong things, man. Right? You can't Yahweh how about Shemal Shah. The spirit gonna expose, these groups and individuals, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shah. Okay. I want to grab this. This is Isaiah the 3rd chapter, verse 12, and it reads, As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. And that is what a lot of these false prophets is doing. That is what, these plantation Christianity churches is doing, man. Right? They're leading the people astray, right? With these wayward doctrines, right? Telling them it's all right to eat abominable foods, man. Right? They ultimately telling their congregation, right, when we speaking this specifically on plantation Christianity, that's all right to go off, man. Right? Things like that is quick tell signs to let you know that these individuals do not have it, man. And a lot of these times, man, these pastors be having bald heads, shaved faces, man. All right? And they trying to teach you about the scriptures, man. All right? But again, being able to identify these red flags and these false teachers, these false prophets, right, to not get caught up in the snares. A lot of our people are destroyed by plantation Christianity, man. A lot of our people are getting destroyed by following these false different groups out here, man, that's teaching wayward doctrines, man. But we must be able to identify these things, right? Must be able to, try the spirit, man. Right? Believe not every spirit, man. This is Isaiah the 8th chapter, verse 20. Right? Another, key thing, point to see, to identify these red flags. Isaiah 8:20 reads, To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them, man. So if these quote unquote teachers, these leaders of these various groups and these plantation Christianity churches are, you know, speaking a doctrine that is not according to what's written in the scriptures, right? That's a quick sign to show that they don't got it, man. For you to flee as far as possible away from them, man. All right. And best believe, man, a lot, if not all, of these Jake plantation Christianity pastors know that we are the true Israelites, man. However, they don't even teach that unto their congregation, man. You know? Shit, if they was to do that, man, that 501c3 getting stripped away, man. Their little tax exemption, the little benefits that they're getting from the government, all that is getting stripped away, man. Right? The modern day plantation Christianity church is a business, man. I remember at a couple camps ago, you know, the brother Yawan, you know, he brought out a point with Chat GPT, you know, asking Chat GPT, what was it, the reason why, you know, these churches, I believe it was the reason why these churches don't go into prophecy. You know, I believe it was to that extent, right? But ultimately the point that it gave was that, you know, it didn't want to fear or put fear in its congregation, man. Right? Because if the congregation gets afraid, they're not going to come. And if they don't come, that money not coming in. You know? Ultimately, it's going to mess up their bag. So that just goes to show you, man, a lot of these, you know, groups and churches and so forth and pastors are teaching wayward doctrine to be more so, you know, pleasing to the ears of the masses. You know, pleasing unto the people so they could keep coming in. That's why they got so much peace and prosperity doctrine getting pushed out in this place, man. Right? Teaching everybody can make it, man. Because it's really all a cash grab, man. It's a business. They're trying to get as much customers as possible to grease up their pockets, man. Right? Right? Scripture says, so you paraphrase, right? They tell the seers to see not, right? To not prophesy smooth things, right? They want to hear those lies. They want to hear those deceits, man. Right? They don't want to hear the truth. And ultimately, those people that are in that spirit of, you know, want to hear the lies and deceits, that don't want to, you know, swallow that tough pill and hear the hardcore truth, unfiltered, unsaturated truth, man. All right, they want to be in La La Land, like the guy from the Matrix who said, "Nah, keep me in the Matrix, wipe my mind. I want to be in this fairy tale, man." They're ultimately gonna be on that receiving end of the Lord's wrath, man. That's why it's very important to know who got it and who don't, man. Right, and to not fall, you know, under the finesse, in other terms. You know, the glitz and the glamour of these plantation Christianity churches, man. That's what they love to do. They love to, you know, put on, you know, the pastors putting on the nicest suits. You know, the church is looking all nice. You know, they're doing all their songs and dancing and music and all these things, man. It's a show, man. It's basically like you paying to go to a concert, man. Right? You can't get caught up in that, man. Right? You gotta look past that outward appearance of what it is, man, and really see what the doctrine they pushing, man. What doctrine they teaching. And if it's not according to what's written in these scriptures, they're teaching wayward doctrine, get away from them, man. Right? Get away from them. Point blank, period. All right? Because the word's going out, man. We had a point in time, right, where a lot of Jake, a majority of Jake, know that they're the Israelites, right? That the truth is going out, man. But now it's about identifying the proper doctrine, right? Identifying those red flags. And if you want 100% truth, and I'm saying this with 100% humility, right? Great Millstone has 100% truth, man. You know? But nevertheless, we continue on to this next one right here. This is 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter. Starting at the top, and it reads, "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction," man. Right? There's a lot of false prophets, false teachers that teaching wayward doctrine, right, in Israel, man. You know, in these different various camps, man. That's teaching all types of bugged out things, man. That's, you know, that's teaching that, you know, you could pop on the Shabbat, man. Teaching that, you know, you could get lineups, you know, you got the Yahweh onlys, the Yahweh only guys, man. That's only, you know, worshiping Yahweh without worshiping Yahweh Shah, man. These are quick red flags, man. You know, to know that these individuals don't got it, man. And ultimately, by them doing that, they ultimately, you know, marking themselves and setting themselves up for a swift destruction. That's why when you pick up this plow, when you come to serve the Lord, when you on the highways and hedges, when you prophesying, when you teaching, you have to make sure you giving the utmost, you know, attention and urgency to make sure that you are teaching the proper doctrine, man. You know, make sure that you are teaching the flock the proper doctrine, man, because you don't want to lead the flock astray, man. Right? Very important, especially in these latter days that we are in, man. You know, the scripture said, "The blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch," and that's what's happening with these plantation Christianity pastors. That's what's happening with these, you know, these false prophets and these other, you know, groups out here that's teaching all types of wayward doctrine, man. All right. But through the spirit power of Yahweh Shem Al Shah, you know, a lot of these individuals are being exposed, man, for that wayward doctrine, for the true intent that they got, man. A lot of them are, you know, chasing a bag, you know, chasing fame, you know, ultimately selling out to these devils, man. But at the end of the day, this 100% truth is still going out. Whether they like it or not, whether they believe in it or not, you know, no matter what they try to do to stop it, this 100% truth is still going out throughout the four corners of the world through the spirit power of Yahweh Shem El Shah. Right? They can't do nothing against the truth but for the truth, man. Even going back to that Drewski guy, man, trying to make a comedic sketch. But in reality, what he was doing was more so aiding the ministry, man. All right? You know, he threw gonna get destroyed, but hey, he was aiding the ministry by doing that, man, because, you know, that word went out more, man. It's people that didn't hear about the Israelites heard about it now. Right? Let me get this too also. This is Titus, the first chapter, verse 10, and it reads, "For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake." Right? Especially them that know that they're Jake, right? Right, when it goes down to especially they of the circumcision, right? Especially them that know that they're Israel, man. Right? Teaching all types of wayward things for what? A bag. Right? for money, right? So again, back to the title, right? Identifying these red flags, man. If you seeing these individuals or these pastors is focused on that bag, their main priority is money, money, money. You just see it in them, man. You know they don't got it, man. That's a red flag. Because the money of this world don't mean nothing, man. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, man. All right? They teaching wayward doctrine, right? Teaching not what's according to the word of what's written in these scriptures. Red flag, they going off, man. Get away from these individuals, man. All right? Must be able to, try these spirits, man. All right? You got, brothers that have, went through, various camps, been through the churches, been through these different camps before they came across, Great Millstone through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim outside to find that 100% truth, man. Right? But nevertheless, we must be able to identify these red flags and not fall within these different tactics and facade and smokescreen and snares that is put out by these plantation Christianity churches, by these various groups and so forth, man. All right. But hey, I'm gonna wrap it up with that. With that being said, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the full elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and listening on to this truth with our sincerity. Until next time, shalom, and a ball, Kwam Yasharallah, shalom.